All right, so now that this is painted in, we have our light areas, our medium areas, and our dark areas laid out. We need to actually make these look like the reflective little rectangle disco pieces, okay? So this is totally dry, and now we're gonna go back over this. And so now you can definitely see that as it's dried, you can still see the lines through that, which is good. And eventually we will outline over top of these. But what we're going to do is using your similar colors that you were using, your values. So I'm going to start once again with my light areas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape these up, okay? So where I have the light areas, and definitely use this as your reference, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but use the guides that you have underneath to create the little rectangles. So what you're going to do is now you're going to come back in, and we're actually going to start painting those little rectangles. But here's the deal. If they're next to each other, they got to be a little bit different. So if I have this on here, I might add a tiny bit of blue in it to make it look a little bit different as it's right next to each other. Okay, so notice as I'm doing that, I'm starting to bring out those rectangle shapes, and notice that it's not perfectly blended together. That is okay. That's going to give a little personality to the disco ball reflection, okay? So I'm going to speed this video up and just kind of work so you can kind of see how the process comes together, and then you'll be able to try it yourself. All right, so I got most of those areas filled in here. I might have missed some areas, but that's okay. Where we did our underpainting, it should be good to go, okay? As you work, like, you might see a couple areas you got to go over, but notice how I kind of switched the paint direction that I was going in. That works. If you get outside the circle there, it's okay. We're going to be cutting this out anyway. So one thing you can do to make things a little bit spicy too, maybe if you wanted a little bit some more pops of color on these dark areas, you could go in and add a different color. So for instance, maybe I really like the way the dark blue is looking, but I want to add a tiny bit of purple in there to just give it a little bit of a different look. So this doesn't change it a lot, but what I could do is I could go on just on top while the paint is still wet, on top of that to give it a little bit of a different look. Same thing, depending on your colors, maybe you want to do the same thing with the lighter colors, but this is just a different way to give it a little bit of a variety, okay? So after you have all of the little disc rectangles painted, we are going to let it dry, and then our last step, which will be shown in the next video, is going to be doing the final thing of outlining so we can really see those rectangles.